All right, it's Brandon Cruz Daily Fantasy Podcast, where I go and look at low and plays and strategy specifically designed for GPPs. This is a show for people who are already informed on daily fantasy sports and how these contests operate. If you have any questions related to NASCAR as a super question, feel free to shoot my way. BrandonCruzDFS on Twitter. Most importantly, take everything here with a grain of salt and use your best judgment when making entries. Additionally, if you have a gambling addiction, that is just not my problem. Check your sense of feelings at the door. We're focusing on the Truck Series at Daytona in this one. Now, if you look at the very top of the screen, you see Brandon Cruz DFS on Patreon. What do I have there? Heat map, projections. Why, yes, I do have that. But do you know what I'm really selling there? It's time. I'm giving you back your time. If you have a family, if you have a wife, a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever the case may be, instead of wasting hours looking into these Truck Series guys and these Xfinity Series guys and the Cup Series, instead of devoting hours of your life to that, you can just support me. I give you everything I think you need to make lineups, look at certain people, everything like that. Pretty much, this just in more detail. So let's go ahead and really break down the Truck Series race at Daytona. Let me go ahead and bold this out so you guys can see them. There's quite a few things going on in this race that I think we need to really look at here. First and foremost, I think this is a series that really needs practice. Pierce and I have talked about this before, and we'll be doing a live stream tomorrow for the Truck Series and Saturday for the Xfinity and Sunday for the Cup Series, as always there. And I highly advise you go check out racewiththeprice.com to find lap-by-lap data. That's going to be helpful if you're into looking at that type of stuff. That's an easy place to find everything. But this is a track that you need practice at. The fact that they don't have it is a joke. You're gonna see a lot of guys making mistakes here. Veterans, not veterans, whatever the case may be, you're gonna have a lot of guys making mistakes. And very similar to the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series this weekend, we're gonna have a lot of chalk in the back half of the field because we're building our, the starting grid. NASCAR is building the starting grid off of 2020 points and last year, or this last race at Daytona, and based on how they perform there. So you have a lot of guys in the back, Austin Dillon, Brett Moffitt, Haley Deegan, Kaz Gralla, Ankrum, Friesen, Kraus, Gilliland, Gray, Sam Mayer. A lot of these good drivers starting in the back, and with not a lot of laps, not a lot of fast laps, not a lot of laps led points up for grabs. I think this whole weekend is really leaning towards a maybe one lap leader type of lineup and everybody else chasing place differential in your lineup. I think that's how I'm going to really approach it. So not that we don't have a lot to talk about. Obviously, you have to choose who to play back here based on lap data, based on who you think is going to do well, based on what you think these drivers can get out of their cars. But I think it's a pretty straightforward week in terms of what lineup construction is. So, for example, I don't like anybody else. And I'm being very aggressive here, writing off all these guys as Fs because you can see their projected finish, your how likely I think they are to DNF for getting a wreck and everything like that. But really, Sheldon Creed's the only guy I want to focus on inside the top 10. I mean, obviously he won last time we were here. And while that is important, just the fact that I think he has probably the fastest car inside that top 5, he should get to the lead right off the bat. He should be the lap leader. Now, if we have a lot of wrecks, if we have people running weird strategies, with the stages and everything, you're going to have some guys pitting before the stage ends. You're going to have some guys running out to get stage points. And then these stages are going to go by really quick because, like I said, this is a short race. NASCAR, the way that they would want to is they don't want to keep running a whole lot of caution laps. Last thing they want to do is throw yellows in this race. So what happens, say, if Rafael Lessard spins out in the grass and he's not stuck against something, they're going to keep it green. And so I think that's going to play a huge factor late in the race because you don't want to go under caution at these road courses, especially this racetrack. I mean, the cautions here take like 8, 9, 10 minutes of TV time. And I mean, NASCAR doesn't want to do that. So I'm very hesitant to play these guys starting up here. Even the guys in the back, they can wreck, they can be involved in something, they can spin out and not have a yellow be thrown their way. And I mean, you got to really think about all these things going into the race. And so, it makes it interesting to make lineups thinking of all the things that can go wrong. So with all that out of the way, who am I looking at? Obviously, yeah, Sheldon Creed, Matt Crafton. I think Rafael Lessard is interesting. He's not expensive. My only issue with Lessard at $8,000 is I think he can be outscored by a lot of guys in the back. I think Rafael is going to compete for a top 5, maybe compete for a win, really compete for 6th, 7th, and 8th. That's just where I see him really riding this race and probably finishing it out. And I would like him more, but I just think he can be outscored. Same thing with Zane Smith. I mean, at 8,600, these aren't crazy prices, but even DraftKings understands that a lot of the DK points are going to come from the back of the field, and I'm even kind of shocked we don't have more expensive guys starting in the back or having pricing really amped up. I mean, you can really play anybody. Continuing on, Christian Eckes, and I don't have my interest filled out right here because, I mean, I'm not even sure where I'm going to go in this race. I'm recording this Thursday, around noon, and so I really got to determine where I want to go with these guys, but that's why I don't really have any interest here in this video here. But Christian Eckes has top 10 upside. Can he work at his price? $9,100, maybe. Maybe if you're building a lineup like Sheldon Creed and then your it's almost similar to how you make place differential plays on a speedway in terms of where you're getting your guys at. So maybe you want Sheldon Creed as your lap leader, you bump to Christian Eckes as your second guy who you think can finish well, get place differential. But even so, I mean, 9,100, that's a bit much. I'd much rather go to Johnny Sauter, which I expect him to be incredibly chalky and have a ton of ownership, and for good reason. I mean, he is underpriced. He's going to race very well. Look, they're not going to keep having mechanical issue like they did last year in these races. Excuse me. Looking at the Daytona road course last year, I mean, he finished 21st. Maybe that'll suppress his ownership, but if you look back at how he's done at the road courses, over the last, 4 or 5 years, he's pretty much guaranteed a 7th place finish. 6th place, I think he can compete for a win. 19th, starting 19th to $7,800 is just far too cheap. Austin Hill, Brett Moffitt, $10,700 and $10,000 even. A lot of high upside, but Parker Chase is cheaper. Johnny Sauter's cheaper. Haley Deegan's cheaper. So why I think you can have that much left in the lineup to be able to purchase these guys and have them, not really hurt your salary, there's just better plays down here. I have them as Bs. I'll probably still have ownership tied to Austin Hill and Brett Moffitt, but you don't have to go there. There's cheaper guys that you can focus on. I mean, Parker Chase is a guy I'm going to be extremely high on, racing for Kyle Busch. $8,300 should run extremely well. I don't mind him. Haley Deegan, I mean, look, she is too cheap. She grew up on road courses. Now, I understand that's off-roading. That's an off-road truck. That's on a motorcycle and stuff like that. But road courses and reading road courses, I would see as a skill that Haley Deegan is going to have over a lot of drivers in here, especially if you're coming from short track racing or if you're coming from primarily an oval side type of deal. If that's what you grew up, whereas Haley Deegan grew up getting sideways, returning left and right. So Haley Deegan has a ton of upside, in my opinion. I think she's a bit too cheap, $6,500. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, just Haley Deegan alone really runs into the same situation as Ty Gibbs and another driver in the Xfinity series, to where if you plug Haley Deegan in, you can pretty much play whoever you want. I don't know how chalky she's going to be. Maybe people are hesitant to play her starting 23rd, but I have no issue playing her whatsoever. Casgrella is going to be driving the O2 car for Young Motorsports. I think he gets a top 10. I'm debating how much interest I want to have in Casgrella. Do other people like him? Do other people not like him? I just got to really read the room and see kind of where his ownership's going to fall. Riley Herbst should be extremely chalky, starting 25th. I think I have him finishing 9th right now, but I have him rated as a C because if I'm going to pay that much for Riley Herbst, I mean, I would much rather almost play Stuart Freeze and Todd Gilliland. Maybe if I have that much money left over, I could just buy Austin Hill and Brett Moffitt and play guys I don't really have to worry about making a mistake. The last thing I want to do is be on Riley Herbst and he really has a rough time, or he makes a mistake, or like I said, people are going to be spinning out. People are going to be making mistakes entering turn one. This is part of me really thinks this is going to be a wreck fest, not in a sense of Daytona to where just tons of people get caught up in one wreck, but where we have a lot of tiny incidents, across the entire race and across the whole track. And Riley Herbst just seems like a type of guy who's going to get into those accidents, So I'm not really high on Herbst. I know why he's going to be highly owned. I know why there's a lot of ownership and attention probably being drawn to him. I just don't see it. Ankrum, Peters, based on what I just said about Herbst, I mean, that would bump these guys up. Both these guys are top 15 contenders. Fogelman, not interested. Purdy, finished in 14th. That's about where I am. Stuart Friesen, Derek Kraus. I mean, Kraus is severely underpriced, $7,500. I know he finished 30th at the Daytona Road Course last time, and I know his history isn't attractive, but if anything, I mean, Haley Deegan, Kaz Grala, Derek Kraus is where I'm going to really look for value so I can stack a lot of the high expensive guys and a lot of the guys with a lot of upside, you know what I mean? Todd Gillen I like, Tanner Gray I like. I mean, everybody likes these guys. It just depends on where the ownership comes from and how much people are looking at. Timmy Hill and his truck, I don't exactly hate his play. I don't think you need to go that low, $5,000. If I'm going to punt, it's probably going to be Timmy Hill. I don't see a reason why I need to punt in this race, but if I do, like I said, I'm probably going to land on Timmy Hill. He's going to take care of the car. I see him finishing anywhere from 26, or if everybody else is wrecking, if everybody else is going crazy and racing really stupid, Timmy Hill seems like the type of guy who is going to race smart, and I would not be shocked to see him finish 11th here. Jet, look, I'm not interested. Even with him in a Nice Motorsports car, I just don't like it. I'd much rather play a guy I believe in way more, like Timothy Peters or Haley Deegan, Kaz Grala for the same price. Even with him starting 35th, maybe a lot of people hop on him for Nice Motorsports, but I'm hesitant to play Jet as a guy who doesn't have a whole lot of stock car experience on the road courses. I mean, he has raced in the Trans Am series, and he does think that's going to give him an upside at this racetrack, but those cars race completely different to how this truck is going to be, and I would honestly see Jet being the type of guy who is going to make a mistake in this race. So kind of back up your interest for Jet. I think this is a dangerous play to go down. Sam Mayer, I like him a lot. Caden Murphy, I don't mind him at all. Caden Murphy at $4,900. Him and Timmy Hill would probably be my two punt plays. I would probably prefer Murphy just because he's starting a little bit farther back. He's a bit cheaper, $100 cheaper than Timmy Hill. So if you're going to punt, go him. Sam Mayer, obviously I like him. Dawson Cram, I don't like. And the Norm Benning, I think he still finishes right at the end of the 20s, probably inside the top 30s. Even if things go haywire, I don't think he's going to be optimal. So that's how I'm looking at it. Those are the guys that I like. That's how I'm mainly going to approach it. Real short one, man. I mean, I'm aiming for one lap leader and just chasing a whole lot of place differential, guys. So, that's how it is. Not a whole lot to dive into the truck race this week. So, best of luck, guys. Check out my Xfinity and Cup Series videos, and feel like support me. If you like the video, hammer that thumbs up button, please. I need to get my algorithms and everything on YouTube looking good. Support me on Patreon. I thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it.